G'day everyone. The Yellow-Winged Sage has two basic ranged attacks. When he draws the staff back to his left like this, it's going to be a two-part attack. It always starts with this wind slash, and then he'll either run and jump at you like this, or as you see in this different clip, he'll run at you, do a fake uppercut, and then slam the ground. You don't actually need to dodge the uppercut part, so this move is still only two dodges in either variation. His other basic ranged attack starts when he twirls the staff on his right-hand side like this. This tells you there's always three wind slashes coming at you. The first two dodges are straight away back to back, have a small delay, and then dodge the third. And back to the main clip. When the boss turns clockwise like this on the spot, preparing an attack, this is one of his bread and butter close range attacks. It'll be an initial slash as he spins around. He'll follow this with a quick double slash, which actually only requires one dodge. And then after a small delay, a third slam of the ground. And back to full speed just to see it in normal time. Now I found this next attack he's about to do was less commonly used, but we'll look at it nonetheless. When he goes for a little clockwise spin, but with the staff above his head like this, it's going to be a four-part attack. One initial slash, but then he'll jump away, and after a small delay, he'll follow it with three slashes that require evenly timed dodges. As you see here, he's using one of his two ranged attacks again, the one where he does the uppercut and slam. Throughout the fight, whenever you make a bit of distance between you and the boss, he'll generally go back to one of those two ranged attacks to close the gap again. Now, if you haven't leveled up the stance skill trees yet and unlocked 3 focus points, I recommend you do. 3 focus points, at least with the thrusting stance, tends to knock him down in one hit. With that in mind, my strategy for a safe fight was generally to get 3 light attacks in between his combos, build up 3 focus charges, doing this as many times as it takes, and then after the next combo, in a safe gap, hit him with a heavy attack, knock him to the ground, and wail on him as much as you can. I find the thrust stance synergizes really nicely with this, because after you knock him to the ground with a heavy attack, which you'll see me do in just a moment, you can then hold your light attack button to activate the whirling attack, which as you see here, immediately closes the gap and gets in a bunch of damage very quickly. Now I did just skip past 2 new basic attack combos, but I'll show you those later. When he's at the health that he's around now, maybe 60 or 70%, I'm not exactly sure, he does this big sandstorm move, which you simply want to get away from, and this marks his transition into the second phase and gets a few new abilities. So when he runs at you like this, with gold in his left hand and the staff on his right shoulder, it's about to be a dangerous 4-part attack. You want to do your first dodge to the side when he leans over and puts his hand in the ground like this. If you've successfully dodged that first attack, follow this with 3 back-to-back dodges as fast as you can, and you'll dodge the rest of it. Now he'll nearly always follow that sand attack with this next one, where he leaps away from you like this, and then he'll leap back towards you, slashing the ground once, which requires 1 dodge as soon as you see him jumping towards you. He'll re-engage at you with his normal form by leaping out of the air and doing a single kick, which requires 1 dodge. Now when he disengages from you and winds up a staff that's golden like this, he's about to do a very slow but powerful 2-part attack. It'll be a single sweeping slash, and then after a small delay, a golden slam. In general, throughout this fight, any golden slam that you see like that, you want to dodge to the side because it does shoot up those spears out of the ground, and if you're dodging forward or backwards, you do have a chance to get hit. I think it's probably a smaller iframe. Now I did obviously get done by his grab attack here, which is quite strong. I'll show you how to avoid that later. Definitely not recommended. Now a little trick if you're struggling to time the beetle dodge is that when you see these little appendages underneath him disappear as they fall behind his body, that's your cue to dodge. Honestly, the worst part about the beetle attack is that you can't see anything for a short moment after he lands. Now when the boss disengages from you like this and puts his left hand up in the air, he's about to roll back through you once. This just requires 1 well-timed dodge. Now so far in this fight I haven't used any spells because I wanted to show you as many mechanics as I could, but we're only halfway, so I'll start to ramp it up. This is a good combo because that whirling attack gives you critical chance, and then you can freeze him and get a bunch more damage in while he's still standing up. Now as you'll see in a second, you definitely want to dodge these golden attacks to the left or right. As you see here, I get hit going backwards. From what I could tell, all forms of those golden attacks send out these spears, so you definitely want to, anything gold, dodge to the side. If you're using the stone alteration, you can use it whenever you want. I tended to like to use it on this jump over attack to get that strong light attack follow up. Now it's hard to see here, there might be a better one later, but this stance here is actually the start of his grab attack. When you see this, the moment he starts to move towards you, you need to dodge through him once. If you don't, well, you saw what happened earlier. As I mentioned earlier, I'm using the thrust stance primarily for this. In fact, I'm not even switching. I'm sure there is ways to min-max by switching, but I'm not really doing that yet. I'm just focusing on the mechanics. I find the long range heavy attack thrust very easy to use, as well as the whirling attack that you can follow up with to be very strong. It's also really good for closing the gap automatically and quickly after those heavy attacks. Now here's a new attack coming up that we haven't seen. When the boss turns to his left a little and his left hand goes all golden, he's about to do a 3-part attack. He will slam the golden hand into the ground, followed by a very quick stab with his staff. After a small moment, he'll then break the ground and it'll cause a small shockwave. When he prepares a big kick like this with a golden foot, he's about to cause those golden beams through the ground, followed by 2 very slow swings. You have to delay your dodges quite significantly. Now after you transition at around 60% boss health like we saw earlier in the fight and he did those 2 sand attacks, he can keep transitioning into those sand attacks throughout the rest of the fight randomly, like he's doing here. It'll be nearly always the same though. He'll do that first one where he runs at you and grabs the ground, and then after a moment he'll do the second one where he leaps over the top of you. Again, he re-engages by coming back in his normal form and doing a kick. Now at around 30% of the boss health, he'll do another transition as you see here where he does this like little whirlwind around his staff, and the main thing he does is that he brings in the sandstorm walls a little closer, I think, so you're a little more constricted in terms of space. But the other thing is that now throughout the room there's these sand tornadoes moving around, which if you hit them, they'll shoot you up into the air for a moment and just kind of annoy you. As the boss gets lower, it's important not to get too rushed. Like all Souls-like style gameplay, you want to take your time and just stick to the gaps that you know and the combos that you know. So as you see, I'm just having a little dance off with him here, just waiting for him to initiate upon me again. And here we go. This is actually a move we haven't seen yet, but you can get it earlier in phase 1 throughout the fight, we just didn't. When he flicks his staff and lets go of it briefly to swap grips, he's about to do a 5-part attack. It's basically 4 evenly spaced dodges as he does a series of slashes, followed by a delay, and then a 5th golden slam. It's important not to be greedy and go for too many light attacks. Stick to 3. 5 is too many and I get punished here. As you'll see here, the tornadoes moving through the room are actually pretty annoying. They don't really do much, but they do interrupt you and certainly make you more vulnerable to an attack coming up if you're not ready to dodge yet. As you can see here in a moment, even right towards the end of the fight, we're still getting plenty of these basic attacks, what you might refer to as his bread and butter abilities that he'll use throughout the whole fight, so it's really important to get very familiar with those ones because you'll see them the whole way through. Now you might have noticed I've actually had 2 or 3 opportunities to kill him there, and I'm choosing not to. I'm not hitting him at the moment. The reason is because there's a powerful complex ability that he does in this last phase, and I'm basically just waiting for it because it's the only chance to show you when I'm in the last phase. He won't use it otherwise in the first 2 phases. So yeah, I'm just waiting and staying alive until he uses this so I can show you it and then we'll finish him off. And here it comes. He'll disengage and you can't really see him because he's standing outside the sand wall, but he'll do this stomp on the ground and cause a bit of a whirlwind effect as you see here. Now he'll start by shooting a wind slash along the ground and then charge at you at the exact same moment and do a massive golden impale. After that he'll do 3 sandform attacks. The first he'll jump over you and slash once, the second he'll do 2 slashes, and the third he'll jump over you and slash again, before re-engaging with a final slash. And now we've seen that, we finish him off in a bit of style. Now there is 2 phase 1 basic attacks that I said I'd show you, so let's have a very quick look at those. When his staff goes golden and he lifts it into the air above his head, it's about to be a 2-part attack. He'll slam the staff back into the ground, which I don't dodge, and then after this, a small delay, he'll then jump and do a single kick. The other basic attack is when his staff goes golden again, but he holds it up like this, kind of pole end forward. He's then going to do a 3-part attack. It'll be a quick poking thrust with the pole end. He'll then stomp the ground, wind up his leg, and do a slash and kick at the same time. And that's it. If the video helped, please drop a like and subscribe. It helps me out a bunch. Thanks for listening, everyone. Cheers.